Dark Brandon has been very busy lately. We say Dark Brandon only when he does stuff that's based. So, more often than not, we will say Joe Biden. But this is some Dark Brandon stuff right here. So, this is in Mediaite. Biden was given a speech, and he decided to take some shots at the right for one of the most shameless, hypocritical things that they do. After a piece of legislation passes that they voted against, and they vociferously argued against, they come out there and try to take credit for it, the impacts of it. So let's listen here. A lot of people are saying Biden is doing a mean Mitch McConnell impression here. Let's listen.
With only Democratic votes, because not a single Republican, not a single one, House or Senate, voted for that legislation. We also passed once-in-a-generation investment in our nation's roads, highways, bridges, railroads, ports, airports, water systems, high-speed internet. We got a little help from Republicans, but not a lot, but enough to get it passed. But the truth is, there are a lot more Republicans taking credit for that bill than we actually voted for it. I see them out there, and now we're going to build this new bridge here. We're all for it. And by the way, this new road, and we're going to have an internet that's going to be all the way. I love them, man. They ain't got no shame. They don't have any shame. We passed the Chips and Science Act. It's a groundbreaking law. We'll once again manufacture semiconductor chips that power our everyday lives, from our smartphones to our dishwashers, automobiles. But we're going to do it right here in America.
Look, like Biden, dislike Biden, hate Biden. That's a true-ass point. There's no denying that that's a true point. And by the way, they have a history of doing this exact same thing, man. The Republicans have done this my entire life. You know, it happened under the Obama administration, too. You'd have, you know, like when Obamacare passed, for example, which is, it's a very centrist or center-right kind of reform. Really, the left wanted a public option for healthcare or Medicare for all. We didn't get that. We got the center-right reform. But it did increase the number of people who got healthcare, whether it's the people who had to buy it on the private market, or, probably one of the better parts of Obamacare, the Medicaid expansion. Well, you had Republicans taking credit for, like, the increase in people getting health care. Now, and they would, by the way, slam Obamacare in the very next breath. Oh, this Obamacare thing is terrible. We're going to repeal it. We're going to get rid of it. And then they'd be like, and our state is doing really great with our health care. We increased the enrollment in Medicaid by X%, right? They have a history of doing this. And God, they're such fucking hypocrites. Do you guys remember every time there's a natural disaster in a blue state, Republicans will vote against sending FEMA money there. So they don't want, like when New York got hit with Hurricane Sandy, they opposed sending federal government money there to help. And then the second there was a natural disaster that hit Texas, for example, Ted Cruz was whining and crying. It's like, we need federal government money. Well, what the fuck, bro? Yeah, we should all agree anytime there's a natural disaster, you know, help out your fellow countrymen. But no, if it's a blue state, he says, fuck them. If it's him, he's like, oh, please, I need the money. God, they're the worst, man. Joe Biden, this is a new Joe Biden, because he's always been the guy, like, I'm the bipartisan guy, I reach across the aisle, I could always work with my friends on the other side. And what he's learning as president is, bitch, the fever didn't break. Remember he said, oh, as soon as Trump's gone, the fever's going to break, and these people, they'll have an epiphany, and they'll want to work with us. That ain't happening, dog. It's not happening. Appears like he kind of realized that now, and so he's been a lot more aggressive in speeches and on the campaign trail, and he is correct to be aggressive on this stuff. This is finally a little bit of a spine for a Democrat. And yeah, doing what he's doing, calling them out for their lies, it's going to land. Now, by the way, this isn't even... So that was fun, right? Little McConnell impression, pointing out about how these people are shameless liars, taking credit for what they voted against. But I got an even better part of this story. So this is in Axios. White House and Senate Democrats eye child tax credit Hail Mary. Huh. So remember, the Democrats did an extended child tax credit. and it reduced child poverty temporarily by 40%. Now, it ran out. They wanted to re-up it. The Republicans blocked it. It was the Republicans and maybe Joe Manchin as well was like, I don't want to do it. So child poverty shot right back up. So apparently child poverty is a policy choice. If you could just snap your fingers with one policy and reduce it 40%, well, then you have the ability to reduce it 100%, don't you? And they just choose not to do it, right? But here's Joe Biden. After a string of legislative victories, he's going, all right, let's try to bring back the child tax credit now. Okay, interesting. So let's see their strategy. They say, the White House is engaging with Senate Democrats about making one last push for an extended child tax credit this year. And in return for GOP votes, they may dangle support for corporate tax credits for research and development that expired last year, Axios has learned. Okay, that's interesting. So the horse trading he's trying to do is, you guys support the child tax credit extension, which you guys should support because you guys say you like tax credits, right? And in return for that, we'll give you corporate tax credits. So basically, give the corporations what they want for research and development. That was part of Trump's 2017 tax cut bill. I don't like that policy. I don't support that policy. It's effectively corporate welfare. They can do their own goddamn research and development. Corporate profits are at a record high. But if you tell me we can get the child tax credit extended in return for that, yeah, I'd make that deal. I wouldn't be happy about the half the Republicans are getting, but it's worth it to reduce child poverty by at least 40%. I'd like to see it be reduced 100%. So they say some Democrats see a year-end legislative horse trade as their last chance to enshrine some version of President Biden's enhanced child tax credit into law before Republicans take one or both chambers of Congress. A compromise package would require 60 votes in the Senate, meaning that at least 10 Republicans would need to support it without any Democratic defections. In response to the Supreme Court decision on Roe v. Wade, some Republican senators, including Mitt Romney and Marco Rubio, have been floating pro-family policies, including a cheaper and less expansive version of Biden's child tax credit. Okay, let me just say this. I don't believe the Republicans. I don't. Best case scenario, you get two, Mitt Romney, Marco Rubio, but I don't even believe that. I think whatever the Democrats propose, the Republicans will be like, yeah, how about we cut that in half? How about we make it significantly worse and then we'll vote for it? So I don't believe the Republicans. Now, they're trying to go through regular order here, so they need 60 votes. They need a bunch of Republican votes, 10 of them. My advice is, just go back to reconciliation again. What the fuck? Wasn't there a ruling by the parliamentarian that effectively you can do more reconciliation packages per year? There was a cap on it. It was like 3 or something, but that they said, no, actually, you could do more. Okay, so do that. What are you doing? 51 is a lot easier to get than 60. Now, I get it. It's hard to get Manchin. It's hard to get Sinema on some of this stuff, but this is one of the policies that they said they do support, the extended child tax credit. Now, I think there's going to be a disagreement over the amount, which is what led to perhaps Manchin defecting previously. But 51, you're having a conversation. 60. So what I would say is, Dark Brandon, stand by your rhetoric on the campaign trail and go back to fuck these guys, bro. They're not helping. They're not interested in helping. If they want to help, okay, hop on board for this policy that we're crafting, but they're not going to do it. So I would just go right back to reconciliation. I don't know what they're doing here. A Hail Mary tax package would face not only a ticking congressional clock, but also potential opposition from Senator Joe Manchin, who may not be willing to support more deficit spending. That's the other problem here. All like the deficit hawks come out of the woodworks and they're like, oh, I don't know, inflation's really bad and we want to reduce the deficit, so we can't really do this. Republicans and Manchin let Biden's one-year child tax credit, which provided families with up to $3,600 per child, expire at the end of 2021. After some discussions about lowering the income caps and including it in a slimmed-down version of Build Back Better, the tax credit ultimately didn't make it into the Inflation Reduction Act that Biden signed into law in August. To lower the costs of his 2017 corporate tax cuts, President Trump covered only 4 years of the R&D credits, putting an expiration date on tax incentives that had long been in place for corporations. Republicans were banking on a future Congress to extend them, but 2021 passed without any action and they lapsed. Business groups have been looking for opportunities all year to restore them. So, look, if this actually gets done, this is going to be the reason why. Because lobbyists desperately want to extend these corporate tax credits, and usually whatever the donors want, the donors get. And this would be an example of the donors really want this, so they might give their blessing to a deal that also extends the child tax credit. That's very possible. Just know that if this does get done, it is because the donor class and the lobbyists gave it the blessing behind the scenes, which might even allow some Republicans to hop on board with it. But again, ultimately, I would just go through reconciliation. And then also, if you go through reconciliation, maybe you don't have to do the corporate tax credits, or if you do, maybe it's a lower amount for the corporate tax credits and a decent amount for the child tax credit. Biden officials have been in quiet conversations with Democratic senators, including Senator Michael Bennet. That's Senator Frat Boy, bro. He's the one who totally talks like this, bro. Rad. One of the child tax credit's main champions to discuss how to get a deal. Quote, "It is a priority for the White House, and it's absolutely a priority for me," Bennett told Axios. "We should have never allowed it to sunset, and I think we can find a way at the end of the year. I would be very reluctant for us to extend things like the R&D tax credit for business enterprises without extending this important tax cut for working families," he said, "and I hope we can come to an agreement on that." Now, one of the other issues that we're dealing with here is that McConnell did say, hey, if you guys do any more reconciliation packages, we're done. We're not working with you on anything else. And Schumer did make a G-ass move and did another reconciliation package after he told McConnell, I'm not going to do another reconciliation package. That was the Inflation Reduction Act. Because what happened was they needed some votes for, I think it was the CHIPS Act, which was to bring back microchip manufacturing to the U.S. And McConnell was like, I'll get you the votes for the CHIPS Act to pass, but you can't do another reconciliation package. And Schumer was like, okay, Mitch, no problem. Shook his hand and then turned around and was like, second that they got that passed was like, so I'm announcing a new reconciliation package. And it was the Inflation Reduction Act. So sort of low-key, sort of base Chuck Schumer on that front, but that might also doom any potential bipartisan deal moving forward. But again, if that is the case, just crack back out that reconciliation, son, which is 51 votes for something to pass as opposed to 60. Anyway, we don't need to read the rest of this. You guys get it. One more fact I wanted to give you. Biden will want to use a potential 2023 budget reconciliation package to revive many of his Build Back Better priorities that were vetoed by Manchin. So that is the $3.5 trillion legislation, which Bernie wrote a lot of it. And look, this is the argument that Democrats should be making more, in my opinion, on the campaign trail. I like what Biden's doing, going after the Republicans and bragging about the decent things they did do. But the argument you should be clearly making is, look, if you guys give us 2 more seats in the Senate, if you guys let us hold the House, here's exactly what you're going to get for it. And then you can list the provisions of Build Back Better that you're going to revive. So if you're out there and you tell people, look, you vote for Democrats in the midterms, you're going to get universal pre-K. That's getting through. You're going to get the extended child tax credit. Well, they're trying to do that before the midterms, which is good. But you could list all the other things. You're going to get the 2 years of free community college. You're going to get Medicare expansion. List the things. Say, here are the things I think we can get if you let us hold the House. And paid vacation time would be perfect. We're going to do paid vacation time. We're going to do universal pre-K. Give us a couple more in the Senate and let us hold the House, and that's what we're going to do. This is my word to you. And they're saying this is what Biden wants to do. In 2023, he wants to revive provisions of Build Back Better based, right? But make that argument to people. Give them something to vote for, right? Now, my guess is there's going to be more people voting because, Roe versus Wade was overturned. That's going to drive Democratic turnout. And also the elimination or reduction of student loan debt, which makes 43 million people materially helped. So they're probably going to go vote as well. So you are getting turnout to go up. You can get it to go up even more if you say, here's the deal. You get me a couple more in the Senate and let us hold the House, and this is exactly what you're getting. And by the way, again, the long shot is you give me a couple more in the Senate, maybe we have enough to throw out the filibuster. And then we're really talking about change. We're really talking about getting some good policies through. So anyway, we'll see. But this was interesting, and I was not expecting even a conversation around a potential revival of the child tax credit. If it were to happen, it would be incredible. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.